Loki is turning out to be one of the biggest TV shows in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The premiere brought in more viewers than the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision. The god of mischief avoided his fate in Endgame during a time-traveling mishap that allowed him to escape capture between the events of Avengers and Thor: Dark World. The first 2 episodes of Loki spent a great deal of time using conversational exposition to explain time travel, the TVA, the multiverse, and variants. But do you know that Loki builds up for Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange 2, and Marvel What If series? If not, then we will help you unravel it, at least to some extent. But before we get started, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. All these upcoming new series form a part of a bigger multiverse which is much crazier than Loki. The Loki producers revealed that the Loki series will have big ripple effects on future Marvel Phase 4 movies and series. In the series Loki, they are constantly hindering with the sacred timeline. In the end of episode 2, Lady Loki aka Sylvie sets off numerous reset charges which are a part of a larger time bomb. This sends the numerous charges in very specific points in the history of the MCU, wherein they can cause maximum damage. Loki watches her grand plan unravel, using the TVA's time reset charges, which she stole after killing their agents. She creates a gigantic number of Nexus events by sending the devices through time. What this means is that multiple paths now are branching off from the sacred timeline, that is, what we know as the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There existed a multiverse much before the Loki series, but what Lady Loki did was expanded the multiverse in a very calculated way, leading us to the plot of Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange 2. The big rumor surrounding Spider-Man No Way Home is that it'll feature villains from past iterations of the movie franchise. Alfred Molina, who played Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2, has already confirmed his involvement. Jamie Foxx, who played Electro in the terrible The Amazing Spider-Man 2, previously mentioned he was appearing in the movie in a long deleted Instagram post. These are the only firm sources we have right now, but they tell us a lot about what Marvel Studios has planned for the closer in the trilogy. Bringing old villains back from older superhero series sounds like the perfect recipe for a multiversal there, to us. But are Loki and No Way Home connected by the events we're seeing take place on the small screen right now? Now, each of the charges was meant to create a Nexus event, therefore each of these devices resets the changes to the timeline before they get to a certain point where they become permanent. However, she made sure to rewire them to do exactly the opposite. Therefore Miss Minutes explains TVA has very little time to reset the timeline before they start working as fully functional alternate realities or alternate universes. Now we see the TVA running off to handle the situation, but there are too many reset charges out there. This clearly implies some of them will become permanent, which is all a part of Sylvie's big plan, to destroy Timekeeper's ability to maintain the timeline. The idea behind all this being, Lady Loki belongs to one such timeline which was considered too dangerous and was not considered good enough for the timeline and was erased, but she somehow survived. This is why she started her quest to burn it all to the ground. So now, as the producers of the show tell us, Lady Loki does what she does is to create ripples that will be affecting future MCU movies and series. So, she didn't create a multiverse, but there already existed one as stated by the Ancient One in the Doctor Strange movie, but the multiverses were already being considered by the Timekeepers and were labeled to be not dangerous. Now talking about the upcoming Spider-Man movie, in theory, Spider-Man No Way Home is where the multiversal war could begin, and the Nexus events we're currently seeing in Loki could be their catalyst. Based on what we've learned about alternate universes from these 2 episodes, versus what we know about the third Spidey movie, that does add up. Either the TVA sorts out the branching timeline, or the consequences will be awful. Currently, we're only on episode 3 of Loki, and there's a long way to go. The next few episodes will just be episodes of multiversal chaos, and however enticing that may be, this series has its own arc too. But the question is, would Marvel really rip the multiverse open in this TV show by a character we've hardly been accustomed to, and then simply show the fallout on the big screen in the form of a Spider-Man movie? Well, that's a possibility, and a multiversal war is surely on the cards. Apparently, Alfred Molina, who portrayed the role of Dr. Octopus, would reprise his role and confirm that his role will begin right after when he went into the river at the end of Spider-Man 2, which happened more than 20 years ago. Basically, he went into the river, and bam! It's the beginning of Spider-Man No Way Home, which can only be possible via multiverse travel. Thus, this movie works perfectly on the path that many previous villains and probably superheroes make an appearance. Loki has an arc of his own in this series, more like a redemption story on fast forward, with Mobius forestalling his every move and therefore upsetting his attempts to escape or betray the TVA. In this show, Loki is helping out the TVA to stop the Nexus events while developing his character, on the way. Even in the second episode, we see him come around to the idea that outsmarting the different version of himself is important to him. The show looks self-aware about how many times Loki has betrayed people, which is a facade of the character we'd be glad to see retired in favor of genuinely emerging him. We are guessing that might be more important to this series than just setting up a Spider-Man movie. Moreover, showrunner Michael Waldron stated that Marvel's priority was to just try and make this series a good one, and these connections happen organically. So, by far there are many connections that are yet to be seen, and if nothing else, it's very clear that this show is finally peeling back the layers on how Marvel's multiverse works. Episode 2 of Loki shows us there exist circumstances that will likely lead to different universes spiraling into each other. With Sylvie throwing away numerous reset charges across the timeline, we have the various superheroes existing in various alternate realities. While we were able to notice where some of the reset charges landed, we can only assume some of them landed on crucial places like Ego the Living Planet, Sakaar, Vormir, Asgard, also the Kree homeworld. This gives us a lead-in on Marvel's What If series, Doctor Strange 2, and other Phase 4 Marvel movies. Let's for example take Iron Man, who dies at the end of Avengers, Endgame, but in the What If series, we get to see multiple realities and multiple alternate storylines and how they played out in today's day in various similar episodes that have an alternate ending in alternate realities. And since there would exist too many branches, it would imply complete madness as stated by Miss Minutes. And that leads to the total collapse of all realities towards the events of Doctor Strange 2, and that would rope in the bigger villain for the movie, which currently reported to be Shumagorath, who is an ancient force of chaos, the immortal, nigh invincible, and godlike ruler of nearly 100 alternate universes, and is capable of energy projection, shape-shifting, teleportation, levitation, altering reality, and sympathetic magic, among many others. Loki is only 3 episodes into its run, and some ties have already been established between the show and Doctor Strange 2, probably because Michael Waldron created Loki and has also co-written Doctor Strange 2. Moving on, Michael Waldron explained how the Loki series is a standalone story, but it is also a precursor to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We have already heard the multiverse getting mentioned numerous times. The madness can only be caused by allowing the multiverse to run berserk, which is exactly what is happening right now in the series. Do you see the connecting dots? In previous interviews, Waldron had revealed that the series will have implications on the MCU going forward, which is similar to the previous Marvel Disney Plus series, WandaVision. While telling its own story, they introduced a transformed Scarlet Witch, all in preparation for her role in Doctor Strange 2, while in Falcon and the Winter Soldier setup, Sam Wilson taking over the mantle of Captain America permanently was quite predictable from the start. However, the exact purpose that Loki has to serve by the end of the series remains to be seen. But one can guarantee that once it is over, the anticipation for the Phase 4 Marvel movies and series will rise up once again. Loki by far has been full of MCU Easter eggs, including seemingly fixing one of the biggest plot holes from Avengers Endgame. Now that we are nearing the end of our video, we hope we were able to make some aspects of Loki and its connection to the Phase 4 MCU movies and series a tad bit clearer for you. Do not forget to like our video and subscribe to our channels, and hit the bell icon to not miss any new videos.